streets, cars, plates, GPS tracking, parking surveillance, and sometimes parking assistance, if you're lucky enough to have the Viofo A129 Pro Duo. That's just part of the great features this dash camera can offer. High-end features at a very reasonable price. Right about time to inspect. Welcome, this is Michael here, and the warmest possible welcome to the Tech4O YouTube channel. I said that because looking at the footage, temperatures are around zero, kind of winter time, and I'm doing my best to keep everyone so warm. If you're looking for dash cameras and you don't know Viofo, I'd say it's the same as watching Formula 1 and never having heard of Kimi Räikkönen. Viofo have been doing dash cameras for a while, and you can find on the channel one of their older models, the A119 Pro. The Pro Duo is bringing us a few steps further, especially supporting 4K resolution. Sure, it costs a little more than previous models, right now around $250 on Amazon, and is in my opinion the best duo dashcam with 4K that you can buy for 2019, probably for 2020 as well, and looks like I have only a few minutes to prove this statement right. If the price is too steep, for almost $100 less, there's a 1080p variation, with most of the features being very similar to the Pro. First of all, let me announce that this review is not sponsored, and Viofo have kindly shared with me the dashcam for testing. However, I'm free to say anything I like in this video, and I will. Viofo is a company close to GitUp, which I'm a fan of because of their awesome action cameras, and it is so unfortunate to not see anything really new on the action cam side from them. Let's take a look at the unboxing. Probably from everything we will try and see, this is one of the most boring parts. Boring because if you've seen already some dashcam reviews, you may already have the right expectations. Inside the box, you immediately see the front and the rear modules. And the thing that impressed me the most is the thickness of these cables. Quality feels superb, and that increased my hopes that I might have actually found an alternative to my current favorite dashcam, the Blackvue DR900S, to which we will do some comparison later on. Viofo are great by providing a dual USB charger, which can give you a fascinating total output of 3.1 amps. This is the rear module, and notice the angle of placement. This module is supposed to be installed on the rear window inside of the car, unlike most rear modules of other dashcams which are on the outside. This makes it a not favorable solution for trucks, but is perfect idea for SUVs, hatchbacks, and even most of the sedan and limousine vehicles. Major advantages, like it won't get affected by weather conditions, the installation is much simpler, and it won't get muddy or blurry with sudden temperature changes. Some specs: 130-degree optics with f/1.8 aperture, main unit using the Sony Exmor IMX317 sensor, capable of 4K output, and data is processed by a more powerful version of a novatek CPU. The rear module has a Sony Starvis sensor, which is known for its excellent low-light performance. You might know that I'm not necessarily a fan of 4K dashcams yet, because of the insignificant amount of light reaching each individual pixel behind these very small lenses, and the more pixels means greater fight for light. But in fact, the 4K night footage here looks very good and doesn't show too many weaknesses, not even compared with some good 1080p cameras. The A129 Pro Duo supports also dual-band Wi-Fi, a supercapacitor instead of a battery, an optional GPS module acting as a mount, and since the chipset is modified, it does support H.265 encoding, very important because it's allowing you to keep the recorded files at a reasonable size. Let's take a look at the menus, which are showing a lot of good features to use. I usually stick to the defaults, and this is what we're going to do this time as well. You will probably be excited to see that there is support for 1440p at 60 frames per second, and Full HD up to 120 frames per second, and the dashcams that can do that are very few. The parking mode has options to be configured, either 24/7 at 1 or 2 frames per second, meaning time-lapse, or using motion detection. Each of these modes has its pros and cons. Conveniently, there's even control for the GPS stamp. You may choose to show different values, the speed only, the coordinates, or to show nothing. However, there still will be GPS metadata injected in the files, and later, when you review those files on a computer with a dedicated software, the GPS data would be available. Also, you're gonna find a way to rotate the rear module in a way which is convenient to you, and since we talk about Viofo, you can count on future firmware upgrades. This is one of the companies known for good maintenance of their devices after they get released. For the installation, things are rather easy. For the front module, find a good spot on the windshield. Consider the fact that the body is not too small, so make sure it won't disturb you while driving. Aiming at the area behind the rearview mirror is usually a good idea. Once you place the dashcam, you make sure to find a good and discreet way to bring the USB cable to the car cigar lighter. Alternatively, Viofo offers this hardwire kit, something you can connect to a constant source of power, like your fuse box, and that's gonna maintain recording for 24/7, because with most cigar lighter power sources, the dashcam powers up and automatically starts recording together with the car engine and goes off together with it. There would be no parking surveillance available. The rear module is also easy to install. I only have the challenge to hide this rather thick cable, but eventually it was all a happy end and very discreet solution too. And if you're worried about safety when you're not around the car and the dashcam being too attractive for robbers, you can easily unmount and take it with you. But that counts only for the front module. And also, if positioned properly, you could use the rear module and its live feed on the display as parking surveillance. Let's talk about performance now. Daytime videos are simply superb, almost no matter the amount of light, should it be rain or sunshine or fog. We've had a lot of fog and smoke lately. The only condition where you will see quality degradation is when the sun is directly reaching the lens, but even in that condition, the A129 Pro Duo is doing well. With 4K, the amount of details visible is much higher than 1080p, and also thanks to the high bitrate, you will need an SD card which is as large as possible, and make sure to get something decent so that it wouldn't fail too soon. Thanks to the rather narrow optics, there aren't too many distortions, and this is less annoying than on cheaper dashcams. On the first sight, the low light footage seemed a little overexposed to me, something which is also the case with my primary dash camera, the Blackvue DR900S, but reviewing the files on the PC makes me feel comfortable because despite the poor lighting and the 4K sensor, the camera retains very good amount of details even when it is complete darkness. Most of the videos you've seen are recorded in H.265, meaning the better compression, in their maximum 4K resolution for the main unit and 1080p for the rear cam. Time for an audio test. The Viofo A129 Pro Duos. And I'm driving at the moment with about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. And I'm standing at about 30 to 40 centimeters away from the camera. This is the quality you could expect. And since you've seen enough about the footage, what is your opinion? Isn't that a great dashcam? Is 4K resolution worth paying the extra $80 on top of the non-pro model? I think we already are seeing the transition to 4K in dashcams, and in 2020 we will certainly get more options of that. So if there is something in particular you'd like me to test, feel free to let me know, and in the comment section I would expect your questions as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, then make sure to subscribe, and there's a nice little thumb up button at the bottom which greatly helps. If you believe this is gonna be your next dashcam, then make sure to save a few bucks by using the link to the product below, paired with a modest discount, and I'll be back very soon with more tech videos. Take care!